What happens when you are a fan and you simply say, hey, I like this property so much, I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice my own money and bring this property to the big screen so that everyone else can enjoy what I like about this property? Well, if you're Markiplier, you do just that. You go and take a game that you love, turn it into a film adaptation, and release it for everyone to enjoy. Hey everyone, this is Chris Bolts and I'm coming in with a review of the movie Iron Lung. Today we're going to be diving quite literally into one of the strangest and most claustrophobic indie films I've seen in a long time. This is the feature-length directorial debut from Markiplier based on the cult hit game Iron Lung. Now before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really helps me out. And so let's just start with the basics of this movie. Iron Lung is an indie sci-fi horror film that stays incredibly faithful to its source material. We follow Simon, played by Markiplier, a convict who's sentenced to explore an alien moon that is literally just an ocean of blood. His job? To pilot a one-man, rusted, claustrophobic metal submersible, take photographs, and investigate something. No one tells him exactly what it is, and that's where the psychological aspect really kicks in. The deeper Simon goes, the more the isolation, the tight metal walls, the unnerving silence, broken only by mechanical noises, start eating away at him. Or maybe it's something else in that ocean. Either way, his mind unravels real fast. Now let me be honest about this. The story is weird. Not the cool kind of weird where everything comes together at the end, but the kind of weird where you're constantly thinking, wait, what? Did I miss something? Is this supposed to make sense? It's fragmented, disjointed, and sometimes feel like scenes exist purely to unsettle you rather than explain anything. And for me personally, that was a little too much. Maybe it's a boomer thing about me or something, or Zoomer or whatever the kids like to call us old folks nowadays. It just didn't jive well with me or anything. But here's the thing, this disjointed approach actually fits the world. Simon is losing his grip on reality. The audience is supposed to feel as lost and confused as he is. So while I didn't love it personally, I get what they're going for, and it does add to the film's very strange charm. This is the first time a feature film from a YouTuber on a budget of only $3 million, and it looks much better than a lot of the big budget Hollywood releases in the last couple of years. And on top of that, it's only $3 million. It was $3 million of pretty much Markiplier's own money, and the craftsmanship that went into Iron Lung is impressive in and of itself. Let me break that down, what really impressed me. Let's start off first with the production value. The entire movie takes place in a cramped submersible, but it never feels visually boring. The camera angles are incredibly well thought out. They make the space feel suffocating, alive, and constantly threatening. You feel trapped with Simon. The next one, atmosphere and sound. The sound and design and music are on point. The eerie hums, the creaking metal, the unsettling thuds in the blood ocean, it all builds tension without relying on cheap jump scares. And then there's Markiplier's performance. A huge chunk of this movie is just Markiplier alone, reacting to the voice over the intercom, monologuing when he's by himself, spiraling out of control, and trying to sell that something is going on with Simon and he's suffering some type of madness. And honestly, he nails it. It's a pretty strong performance from Markiplier. It's emotional, panicked, sometimes darkly humorous. He carries the whole film on his back, and he might as well be named Atlas, because he had that entire film on him, and he knew that the entire film relied upon his performance, and he sold it and made this movie work. And then lastly, there is faithfulness to the source material, the game itself. Now, a lot of times we over in the YouTube world, we complain a lot about how so many of these people in Hollywood get something that has an established fan base, has established source material and lore, and they drift so far away from it that what you end up getting is something alien. But for Markiplier, he said, no, I am just going to take this game and I am going to translate it to the big screen. Now, obviously there needed to be some things that needed to be added off in there, like screenplay, because in the game itself, there's not a lot of talking. There is a lot of reading and whatnot, but not a lot of talking from the main protagonist. So there had to be some improvisation there. For fans of the original game, this is genuinely impressive. And again, he didn't try to Hollywoodify this movie. Markiplier didn't shove any kind of politics, which is great. No modern messaging, which is great, or unnecessary changes. He just said, here's the world of the game, and I'm going to make it into a movie. And he did exactly that. One thing I have to highlight in this movie is how this movie uses its limitations as strengths. The small budget forces creativity, and that creativity shines. Instead of CGI monsters or flashy action scenes, the film relies on atmosphere, tension, and sound, just like the game. And a lot of modern movies with 10 times the budget could learn from this. A lot of the movies that came out during the 80s and 90s did not rely upon special effects. It relied upon atmosphere. It relied upon practical effects. It relied upon tension. It relied upon sound. And it was so great that Iron Lung harkens back to these types of movies. This movie proves you don't need $200 million to make an effective horror movie. In fact, I don't think there's any horror movie that costs that much. You don't need $200 million to make any kind of movie. What you need is vision, restraint, and a willingness to embrace the weird. And I also throw in on one other line here. If you are willing to create, you must be willing to offend. You can't just be safe in your own bubble. You gotta go out there and break the mold. And that's what Markiplier did with this movie right there. He went out there and decided to break the mold of what is considered a movie according to modern Hollywood. So at the end of the day, Iron Lung didn't fully work for me narratively, and that's not a bad thing. Not every movie has to work for people narratively. The story did feel too abstract for me. It felt too disjointed, and sometimes just too strange for me to latch onto. But that doesn't stop it from being a well-made film, especially for a first attempt from someone outside the Hollywood machine like Markiplier. He set out to make something faithful to the game and came up with something that was genuinely entertaining. And in my opinion, he succeeded. And that's why I'm giving Iron Lung an 8 out of 10. Not because it's perfect, far from it, but because it was crafted with care, creativity, and a love for the source material that you just don't see anymore. So did Iron Lung work for you? Did you guys see the movie? What did you think about it? Was the weirdness part of the charm, or was it just confusing? Whatever your thoughts, jump down in the comments and let me know what you think. And make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Boats signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.